Well, I'm gonna be straight up with you. I really don't care for transgenders because they're honestly going against the laws of nature. But I thought I'd bring this to some of y'all attention and understanding why transgenders is detrimental. Now, this story is coming out of Idaho, which is predominantly white, so it's no surprise. From NBC News. This was 5 days ago. The U.S. Appeals Court considers Idaho transgender athletes ban. Idaho passes a law banning trans girls from competing on women's sports teams last year, and more than 20 states have considered such proposals this year. A U.S. Appeals Court on Monday gave little indication on how it might rule on the constitutionality of the first law in the nation banning transgender women and girls from playing on women's sports teams. I'm just going to stop right there. These transgender women are not women. These are men and boys. They have penises. How in the hell can you be a woman with a penis? But anyway, let's continue. The three-judge panel of the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals heard virtual arguments in the case that could have a far-ranging consequences as more states follow conservative Idaho's lead. This has nothing to do with conservative or liberal. This is just flat out stupidity and ignorance. Nothing but a class of confused people who don't know if they want to be a woman one day or a man the next. You can't be a man participating in women's sports. You can't. Just like a woman cannot participate in men's sports. That's why that women have a whole separate section of sports specifically for women. And now you have these fake wannabe transforming women infiltrating what used to be women's sports. They're basically trying to change what it is to be a woman. There's been a lot of infiltration of homosexual men in heterosexual sports. Let's get that clear. This is nothing new. They've been doing this shit for years. But anyway, Idaho passed its law last year, and more than 20 states have considered such proposals this year. Bans have been enacted in Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, West Virginia. Florida lawmakers passed a bill, and South Dakota's governor issued an executive order. The judges on Monday focused at one point on whether the case was still relevant because one of the plaintiffs, Lindsay Hicos, had dropped out of Boise State University after failing to qualify for the women's cross-country team. Her attorney said Hicos was taking a leave of absence and planned to return in fall and try out for the team again. Judges also questioned whether the other plaintiff, who feared invasive tests to prove her gender that are outlined in the law, had standing to sue because she's not transgender and her gender identity have not been challenged. It's possible the court could rule the case is no longer relevant and dismiss it without ruling on its merits. Roger Brooks, an attorney with the Christian conservative group, there we go with that conservative shit, group defending the Idaho law, said he hoped that would not happen because the case needed a definitive ruling. This is a situation that is live and is going to be ongoing, he said at a news conference after the arguments. Supporters say such laws are needed because transgender female athletes have physical advantages, which is true, though researchers have studied that the issues say any potential advantage isn't a reason to ban trans girls from competing. That's an absolute reason to ban trans women. Because this is nothing but men taking up women's sports. Obviously they have a physical advantage over the women because they couldn't compete where the real men are. These are nothing but a bunch of weak minded, confused men who want to be women and feel they can do better by conquering women's sports. Though researchers have had studied the issue, say any potential advantage isn't a reason to ban trans girls from competing. I read that already. Lawmakers in Idaho also have argued that allowing transgender athletes on girls and women's teams would negate nearly 50 years of progress women have made since the 1972 federal legislation credited with opening up sports to female athletes. So there you go. And I'm surprised ain't no females really talking about this. This is mighty telling. But feminists support homosexuality because that's all transgenders are, just a bunch of homosexuals. They're part of the alphabet community. Well, those opposed to the ban have cited the same Title IX federal civil rights law that prohibits sex-based discrimination. Ultimately, that is an Idaho law that harms all women and girls, said Chad Strago, an attorney with the American Civil Liberties Union, which is seeking to stop the law from taking effect. You can put whatever law you want. It does not change the biologic of that man. Because you say you're a female on paper, you're not a female biologically. I don't know what part of that they don't understand. See, this is the foolishness that goes on in this country on a daily basis. The law prohibits transgender students who identify as female from playing on female teams sponsored by public schools, colleges, and universities. It does not apply to men's teams, which prompted one judge to ask whether discrimination existed. They're not barred, Judge Andrew Clownfield said. Anybody can play on the boys' team, whether they're transgender or not. I don't know if I'm going to read any more of this because it's just a bunch of BS. It's just so silly. You got nothing but a bunch of faggot ass men complaining about not being able to be women playing on women's sports because they not man enough to play with the real men. That's all this is. I don't see why in the hell you would want to play on women's sports to begin with anyway. That don't even make any sense. That just shows how much you suck. See, this is why I can't stand this homosexual bullshit. There's no logic, there's no reasoning behind it. You going against the laws of nature. You going against God. This is the ultimate slap in God's face for those. But I mean, it should be no surprise because part of the build of this country was on homosexuality. Hell, they was homosexual slave owners. That's where you get a lot of homosexual black men to this day. A lot of homosexual black women today. But people don't think this is an issue. This is a big issue. We have homosexual men infiltrating heterosexual female spaces. And I'm surprised females don't see this as a problem, probably because most females are supporters of homosexuality. I mean, to me, this just makes no sense. But I thought I'd bring it to people's attention. Because regardless, it's a problem. People talk about you shouldn't worry about it. Like, why shouldn't you? Women especially, because they infiltrating women's space. Man, I think I'll be done with this for right now. Like I said before, no law can change your gender. And that's one of the big issues now is the gender role. You got so many men who want to be women and vice versa with women. wannabe men, just destroying your physiology. It makes absolutely no sense. No logic behind it. Just sheer ignorance and stupidity. Man, I'm done with this. You can leave your thoughts and comments below in the comments section. I just wanted to bring this to your attention. I know I've said that about 3 or 4 times already. I'm getting the hang of this. But when I look at this sign saying trans girls are girls, that's bullshit. 100% unadulterated bullshit. I don't support homosexuality. I don't care about the LGBTQ. I don't care if they're black LGBTQ. I don't support none of that shit. You can't produce children being gay. This is Brown, and I'm getting out of town. Peace, black power. Remember, straight black family pride.